Yes. Rather than not pick up as many cigarette butts and then that's way cool. Yeah, I love the big stuff.
Recording in progress.
Next to Monty's.
Yeah. Okay. Let me mute on here. Okay, that's coming out. It's coming out. Start the videos. Guess we should start with Louisa being on the screen. If you guys want to join the Zooms on your laptop.
Oh, we're gonna be on the stream too.
Yeah.
Scary. Oh my. More people popular tonight.
That's a slow start on that.
Got a lot of stuff to carry over here, huh?
Yeah, I used to.
So you could put it so it just pans down the side.
Yeah. Don't know if it'll fit all of you. Pretty good.
Extra spread. Jump on. Jump on.
You can jump on Zoom, Perry. That works. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Everybody.
Uh, Have enough chairs. Hey, I'd like to call a meeting to order. This is the July 13th, 2022 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. We're in the Arthur Hammer Conference Room tonight. And that's why our technology might look a little odd. But Peter's got everything under control, and we're going to start with continued business of an enforcement order. The project location of the order was 204 River Road. And this was dumping of fill within, let's see, 100 feet of the riverfront area of the Merrimack River. We had a conversation some time ago with SNR, which was doing the work or going to be taking care of doing the work. Is anyone here from SNR? Or from the city? I believe it's city-owned land. Heard anything, Peter? I know you went out there and sent us some pictures. It looks exactly the same as it did a month or two ago.
Yeah, I mentioned to me. Having some trouble.
You're under the impression they're not going to,
Being attacked.
oh, not in.
They didn't tell us that. They're just not. They haven't been communicating.
Okay, well, I wish they had sent in word of what the plan is as far as remediating that site. We had agreed to what work would be done. And I'd like to know a timeline, if maybe you could be in touch with them before our next meeting. Does anyone else have anything they want to relay to at this location?
Is it reasonable to, open the conversation about finding work out if they're not at the next meeting?
Well, I think they were quite agreeable to what we had wanted them to do.
Sure.
Of course, this is the busy season for anybody with big machines. Certainly, if they don't come to the next meeting, Peter, you could kind of say that we're kind of anxious to have them attend. All right, so we'll continue this because of a lack of information or attendance by anyone from the SNR Corporation. I have a motion.
Motion to August.
Motion to continue, seconded by Steve. All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Moving along, we have a request for determination of applicability from Zerlene Santos Correa, 534 Wentworth Avenue. This is a request to repave and expand a driveway. They are within, parts of the lot are within the 100-year floodplain. Are you the Correas?
New York.
Yes.
I think, Ian, I don't think we've actually met, but you're doing Wentworth Street, right?
am.
Okay, so.
Oh, way down there. Okay,
Where's the best spot to present?
I don't know if you can get on
Conservation Commission?
the TV tape or not, if you bring it down this
Why
end.
don't we just flip the computer around? And,
Yeah, we could flip it around.
yeah, I'll put you over here.
Yeah, you can move up here and we'll just.
I've done a lot of sitting on the window wells over here. If you folks want to just sit on the benches on the side. Okay. Where we actually have a couple of chairs.
Yeah, good evening. My name is Steve Ainsley. I'm an engineer for Meister Brown, and I'm representing Mr. Grant for this application. So if you look at this plan that we did, this is the property as it is now. Property proposing to do in the future. 534 Wentworth Ave. Right now, there's a driveway that's about 9 to 10 feet wide, and it pitches down, so the street down here is higher than going into the garage here. It pitches down into the garage, flowing into the garage. What they want to do is widen the driveway and pitch it toward the street instead, drain to the street instead of into the garage. This property from, kind of see right here, elevation 126. That's the flood elevation. So anything kind of over here, back here, in floodplain, BLSF. We did do a volume calculation table, and the amount of volume that they're going to take out to widen the driveway will be enough to offset filling needed, kind of the back end of the driveway up, so that we're going to have a net increase in flood storage. That's the gist of it. I'm happy to answer any questions. I do have a kind of zoom in of that area.
Oh, that's a more reasonable plan than last one we saw. Anyone on board have questions?
I haven't seen any on my end. I did see their first sweater, and we did try to address everything that they asked for, but I don't have like a, checking all the boxes or anything. It might have been conservation staff that wrote the memo. I know it said engineering comments, but it came from the conservation staff.
Yeah, so there's no updated
So you're basically not regrading much except just where the pavement is.
Yeah, so it's limited to just driveway area. So the light hatch is what's there now. Dark is kind of what they're going to expand to. This up, there's a retaining wall right here, right now, that they're going to take out. When they take that out and bring all this on the other side of the wall down, it's going to bring a lot. It's going to decrease the grade a lot.
So did you calculate how much water going down?
I did not. I know that this is 18 feet wide. Guess about 20 to 25 feet. About 400 square feet pervious area. I didn't calculate exactly what it would be. I don't think that's very out of the norm. It's a fairly short driveway, and I think a lot of driveways pitch toward the road. But if you wanted kind of drainage
Excuse me, would it make sense to have one of those break type of a thing I know the driveway has to extend quite a bit beyond the property line to get to the street. So I'm not sure where you would put something like that. But with that,
Yeah, generally, and this would be in the city's right of way, so we would need their permission to do that. But generally, the further down you can get, capture as much as possible. I know what you're talking about, like a trench drain, right? Otherwise, right now, it would come down, and I think it would come down the street. Catch basins.
are there catch basins?
I don't know exactly, but I know there's one.
Betty?
I have no issues from a conservation standpoint, but from the engineering comments, it does request that the property lines are added to the plans because of concerns of dimensional parking dimensional requirements for the parking spot. I don't see a vertical mention there, so,
Yeah, I know.
I'm not sure what exactly they were requiring, but I would like to request that is double checked before any permits are issued.
I do know that the parking space, for that zone would encroach on the right of way. Not enough room to fit it in there. So we would either need, I don't know, a variance for.
Yeah, I mean, as long as that comment is followed up on, and we close that matter,
Sure.
for their list of comments, then I. Yeah, and also.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to comment on this particular? Okay, so this isn't actually a hearing, it's a determination, and usually do is have a concern such as Brad brought up. Usually add a condition in there, even though it's not a notice of intent. Someone like to make a motion on this particular?
Motion to grant a negative determination. The condition that dimensional requirements are confirmed with the engineering department, and any permits required based on those are filled prior to the issuance.
Would there be any reason markers where the actual lot?
I don't care to make them change their plan. I think it's something they can do provided with CAD. If engineering needs it, they can ask. I don't need to force that.
We have a motion for -3 with a condition added. Do we have a second? Seconded by Perry. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. And I guess you're on your way to the next board
Sure.
if there is one.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Coming in.
Yep.
Okay, moving along. Next is a request for determination of applicability that we have also heard one time. Presented by Andrew Goddard. The project location is 10 Toothie Lane in Lowell. This was a determination to find out if this lot was subject to the Wetlands Protection Act. At the last meeting, we did vote to find someone, excuse me, to find someone who would do a peer review. That means there would be an additional engineer look at the property and their opinion of the issues involved. And then we would get that presentation, and we had the presentation from Mr. Goddard. Mr. Goddard's on Zoom tonight. Do you have anything you'd like to tell us about the project so far?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. This is Andrew Goddard here. A quick update on what's been going on over at Toothie Lane. We had the peer review start. The bill has actually already been paid for the peer review. As of current, there's not a conclusive answer as to what their findings were. So at this meeting, I will simply request a continuation for this project for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Just to elaborate.
Okay, Peter, who is it that we?
Yes.
ESC.
So, Mr. Goddard did send the check in. We were just getting on the lot requirement.
Okay. Do you have a timeline at all?
open for the next language of the contracts.
Okay. All right, so we have a request for continuance. This, due to the fact that, we're getting somebody to do this type of work at short notice this time of year is not that easy. So we don't have any additional information to add to the project folder tonight, except that the peer reviewer company has been chosen, and they will be sending someone along, I assume, to start that work, and they'll get together with Mr. Goddard as well at some point, and at some point we will get the report back. So their continuance to our next meeting would be a meeting of August 10th. Have a motion for that.
Make a motion.
Seconded by. Discussion.
I would just say that, I know that there's attention to this project. We're not gonna be able to discuss anything until there are results. You may wanna call the office and check in and see if there is discussion expected. We do require materials to be submitted 7 days prior to the meeting. So, if it's not before that, submitted before that time, then we will consider it not submitted in time for the meeting. Save yourself.
Right. Are those materials publicly available before they're discussed or not?
Think
Okay, so
we're online.
keep an
There's a-
eye
there's
on
a
our
link to-
website. Yeah,
There's a link to the document center on the agenda, which will take you to all of our active project files. It should be uploaded.
is there anyone that needs to say something about this tonight while Mr. Goddard is here? Do you have any concerns or anything you'd like to add that you didn't hear last time?
Tell that we are in current drought, and I know in our last meeting.
Oh, yeah.
It was mentioned
Yeah.
that, it wasn't dry season, or whatever. It was dry,
Yeah.
it wasn't a dry season, but if you go onto multiple websites, and I don't know what website.
Right, that's a good point.
It was dry during his evaluation,
Yeah.
even though he said it wasn't, if you go on certain websites, so which website are you
Right.
going by?
It was just in the
Because it's a
news
drought
today
season right
that
now,
we're
and it
in
was
a,
dry when he evaluated.
we're in a moderate drought.
Yeah,
And
so that changes the outcome of mine.
definitely, and at some point, sometimes the DEP or some of those groups has actually told us in the past not to have something set in stone as far as a determination when we're in times of your drought. Yeah, at some point, we can't accept,
I just have one. Till this determination is made. Who's responsible for sidewalk on Ridge?
Yeah, well, I guess that was about a month, 6 weeks ago that they were here, and when I went up to the property at that time, and I thought the sidewalk area had been cleared. It wasn't hanging over the sidewalk the way it had been.
Any request for enforcement would be subject to ISD's evaluation, inspectional service.
Okay, so
Call up ISD,
But there is,
and it would be up to them to decide whether or not enforcement
Yeah.
is applicable in this case.
there is actually possibly an outstanding enforcement order on that lot where they were told not to do any work. So, it's kind of a touchy.
most of us would find
But I believe,
it's actually
I believe that enforcement order was never lifted. I recall, so,
so that would be ongoing.
the sediment control is in disarray, for one thing. And he's not supposed to cut without permission, so it's kind of a,
Understand that he was actually wanted to. It's actually 6 feet. Couldn't get
Yeah.
to the pathway.
I mean, overgrowth on the city property is different than an enforcement order on
In
property.
fact, I would think
So-
the city workers should be out there taking care of that.
And
If
the
it's
property owner's
encroaching on a sidewalk. Well, you know, the man is in a difficult position because, we told him he can't do anything right now and yet nature marches on, so. Everything is overgrown this year. I've never seen such a year of growth this particular year.
They're gonna decide upon
Well, we're in charge of the wetland aspect, the safety. I think there must be a board in the city inspectional.
Yeah, it's inspectional services. We have no
Yeah.
standing in that regard, unfortunately. I'm sorry. Be helpful at all.
At the actual property.
and to.
I just, I work right next to it.
Okay. And I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Not a good situation. Nobody there. Property owner. You know what? I think he does.
Oh.
That'd be-
Okay, so we're trying to determine the best course for this particular lot, and it's an ongoing thing
August
now.
10th.
We voted to continue it to our next meeting, August 10th.
So with regards to the drought, they take that into consideration, findings or not, because like I said, when you presented, Mr. It was Scott, right? I thought Scott was the engineer now.
Everything will be taken in.
They take that into consideration. He had mentioned when he did his evaluation that we had rain.
These drought reports come out, not every day, but every week, I'm sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it was questionable at that time whether it was classified as a drought. We were kind of on the cusp of mild drought at that point when we talked about this last, and now we're very clearly in a substantial documented drought. So, but the classification is maybe what the engineer looked at. Who knows? I don't.
Is it also the city's responsibility to do that culvert?
I believe the culvert is on city property.
That's a city
Probably.
property.
Talk to ISD about it. They will be able to, if they don't take responsibility, point you in the right direction. If all else fails, call the Lowell litter crew.
Okay. I could go past if I did.
Well, I'll answer the phone. Also, I keep forgetting sidebar. We have 2 vacancies on our board. We're looking for more conservation commissioners. Yeah. Just saying. Before everybody leaves and I don't just tell it to the abyss.
Well, you just told it to the city here.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's listening by the end of our meetings though.
They brought that up at the council meeting
Good.
last night,
Cool.
all the vacancies in the city. Okay, I think we need to move on and
Okay, thank
I do have a quick question. Last meeting, you were mentioning taking soil samples. Is that
I didn't.
included?
I
Oh,
didn't
sorry,
order the.
I didn't get.
if they don't include it, I believe we'll ask for it.
Soil, we bought.
Yeah,
We're
they're
gonna
in
hire
the
one,
scope.
so
But there was
I'm
just an engineer, that was being hired. Is there not an ecologist?
No, they
to
were
test the
just-
soil?
they got it, they got it.
This
They
would
got it,
be,
okay.
this would be a wetlands.
We got it.
person.
I'll send you the email. Was it? I didn't send it.
Okay. All right, so thank you, Mr. Goddard, for joining us. I don't know how much of the conversation you heard, but the neighbors are still concerned and we had some comments that they wanted to make, so we'll see you at our next meeting, hopefully, and thank you for attending.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, and I will see you on August 10th.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good one. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, moving on. And
Thank you. We'll see you like I said.
You're welcome. Yeah,
Guys,
Didn't we say we call the office here with the tenant? Or it's not done, we're just gonna.
Thank you.
So could we call the conservation?
I don't even know. What's his name?
Good night.
okay. Next on our agenda, we have a request for determination of applicability from Alcino Gaspar Neto, 107 New York Street. This was an after the fact retroactive approval for paving that was done on the property located within the 100-year floodplain. In conjunction with this, we also had an enforcement order due to the fact that there appeared to be dumping of fill from a nearby project into the Beaver Brook. Is there anyone here? Is Mr. Neto here? Are you? Mr. Neto?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, I was out at your place today. Is the house being lived in? It looks like it's,
it's not.
no,
Yeah.
it's for sale. It's gonna be
Yes,
for sale.
Yeah.
So I just had a question from your plan. It seemed you had said the right side of the driveway was the new. Is that the side closest to the front door?
Exactly.
That's new.
Exactly.
Okay. So formerly that was lawn. Is that
It
correct?
is a pavement. So we take the pavement because I don't know how long the houses, like people's not living there, probably 3 years. And then like a lot grasses and trash on the driveway. And yeah, rocks. So we cleaned only the pavement and put a new asphalt pavement. And we added 2 feet next to the corner of the house. So you probably will see the.
Okay, so that's the new
just ex-
side.
Exactly.
Okay, that particular side I thought hadn't raised the elevation. In other words, it seems to be the same, the same level that it was before,
Exactly.
but
We didn't
you
change
you
that.
took it down a little to put the pavement on.
Exactly. And if you see on the walking, the door,
Yeah,
that's the same stone, the stone we use. Yeah, we just clean with the pressure washer and just put it back.
okay, so the walk is not new.
It's not new, is it? We
Okay.
just make flat again, we put new
you did have-
soil, like.
Yeah, you did have to
Right.
take some of the walk out though, to put in the new asphalt, right?
Exactly. So we take the brick off and use the brick to remodel, fix again the sidewalk. And I'm sorry, I didn't know I'm new, so I don't know how it works. I was thinking, just take the pavement, put
Yes.
asphalt. And when I
Yeah.
called the company, like they didn't tell me nothing. They just say, just take the brick and I will put the asphalt. It's all right. So after 2 months, I received a letter. So I don't have idea we have to.
So the pavement took place 2 months ago?
2 months ago,
Yeah.
when you guys send me a letter,
Yeah,
like 2 months
It's gonna be about
before,
that.
yeah.
yeah. Now, who is your paving company?
The same guy they did on the right side of the house.
Okay, that's
Is
what
that-
I figured, because they have a new, and what about across the street has a new driveway too?
Yeah, on the right side, exactly,
I
right
think
side.
everyone's.
Yeah, the same
So-
company.
The guy came by and did all the
The
driveways.
same he did on the right side. He only add the second coat on the top, that's it. But he has a big driveway. Like the driveway's
The
way
neighbor.
out, way down, yeah, the neighbor.
The one right next to your house.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
front of my property, we have a hard guy. He make a complaint for everything. So maybe I think him. Called
Yeah.
the city hall, we make asphalt, but we didn't know, so.
Yeah,
So that, like, I learned something, if I make an asphalt, somebody told me, if you just put a second coat, you don't have to, the permit, right?
Yeah.
So if you take a brick and put an asphalt, you have to get a permit.
yeah.
But I was thinking, I have a permit to the house, but I don't know why I have to get permit to the asphalt. But I finished the permit, and the guy, he called and said, yeah, I can't give you a permit finish because you have a problem on the driveway. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
well, it all comes down to you're being close to the brook.
Yeah.
That's, everything you said is probably true if you weren't that close to the brook.
Still need paving permit,
Top coat?
so.
Yeah.
Right?
For the top coat too.
Pretty sure.
I don't know.
I
If you
think
say,
any any paving needs a permanent.
Okay,
Uh,
well,
Your contract. I mean, you just got,
Yeah, like,
unfortunately, there's a significant amount of paving contractors. that
I'm
don't care
new,
about
I'm
what
new.
they do.
That's why I didn't know.
Some of the
So
paving-
You can check my comment. It's a brand new comment. So I'm not, I learned something today.
some of the paving people think that the homeowner should get a permit, I think, rather than they go down.
I was thinking my permits, that's
Yeah,
supposed to be for driveway. So that's
Okay.
why I did. The guy he told me it's a $50. If I know it's I pay $50 for that permit. You know, right now it costs me more
Save a trip to
time
City
and
Hall.
money.
Yeah.
If I let you guys know before, you know?
Okay, so I'd like not to close that part out until we talk about the enforcement order. If you walk across the street from the end of the driveway,
Mhm.
and you know, the brook is over there, there's a couple of big cement barriers. And if you look through the trees and past the cement barriers, what I'm more concerned about than your pavement is there's a lot of sand and sort of leftover masonry type materials that were dumped there.
Uh-huh,
It's not natural materials. It's not dirt like you have from a lawn.
uh-huh.
It's sand like you have from I don't know what.
Yeah, but we have a dumpster on our property.
Yeah.
We have them on the property. When I receive a letter from the trash as well, we check again, like a week ago, we received a second letter about the trash. We check, there's not, like, the house is done like a month, almost 2 months, because the house is already sold, so we're waiting for
The paperwork, the
Like the
driveway was
paperwork
the
for it.
last part of the
Yeah.
house.
but it's not there. So right now, somebody dropped like a grasses as well. They drop other things and they try to blame us. I would talk to the lady on the city hall. So, oh no, calm down, calm down. I have
Yeah.
a picture. No, because that's not me.
So you don't think any of that material came from your property?
I have a dumpster. I don't have a problem to drop to the river. I'm sorry, but like I'm not going to drop a trash to the tree or whatever.
Oh,
But if you say, Neto, can you help me to fix that one? I can send my guys, we have a trucks, we can clean and put on the trucks, you know? But I'm telling you the truth. I don't have why
well,
I'm drop trash to
Yeah,
to the tree.
I'm
Does that
sure
make sense?
you're not the culprit, but people who work for you might be.
Because the dumpsters, the way like his company works, it's like weekly, we've removed the dumpster.
Yeah,
So no matter if it's full or not, it will be removed.
Yeah.
So
You put
I don't,
sand in a dumpster, they'll charge you extra.
no, we're not
It's
drop any
anything.
sand
Yeah,
over there because we own the pavement guy, we already have sand over there. So he only used the machine to like shake the sand over there and put a brand new asphalt. So, he has a truck, big trucks to take the
Yeah.
sand.
but
But I know the lady to the
you
left
know,
side,
did you look at what I'm talking about?
I
Do
know,
you say, now, did you just offer to help get that out of there, whether or not you put it there?
no, you know why? Because the lady, I don't wanna talk too much, but the lady, she work on the back of the property. The lady, she has the two families over there. She work on a cooking. Como fala churrasqueira? It's a
like on a
cooking.
grill.
Yeah, grill. The grill, the stuffs. And she doesn't have a permit. And I never say again, but the guy on the front, he's picky, you know?
We could spend a lot of time in this neighborhood, I think.
Exactly.
You could spend a lot of
He
time.
called,
I mean, I'll go for the grill.
he called the police. He called the police 10 times. The police already checked my permit 10 times because the basket, it is on front of my property. He parked in the car on my property for my guys not working. So he made complaint for everything. So,
So did anybody see anything? That's what I find unusual, that if neighbors are nosy, like the person that you say is always complaining, I would think
What do you mean
somebody
face
would
up?
have seen something like somebody with a wheelbarrow.
Guys, I have an empty barrel on the front of the property. If you go over there right now, that's empty. Nobody
No,
living over there.
I'm
But
not
I'm not,
trying to,
because it's not make sense that people drop like a sort of dirty stuffs to
yeah,
the river if you have a two brand new barrel on
Yeah.
the front of the property.
okay, well,
Is
we're in a
I'm
drought
sorry.
right now, and I still am extremely concerned about that loose sand going right down into the brook the next heavy rain. And, you know, that's going to affect your property and every property in that neighborhood. If the brook gets filled up, there's less room for water. It's gonna rise up, and the next flood
makes sense. I
makes,
agree with
makes
you.
problem.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, does the litter crew do?
I don't know, I'll have to ask.
I mean, I know it's city property.
This is not something to be decided whether, whose responsibility is. Our job right now is to decide whether or not it's his responsibility, and I don't think we have any proof that it is. There's no reason that we should be validating or ratifying this enforcement order.
But guys, that's
No.
my property. I don't want I don't want problems to my property.
Yeah.
I will stop the truck tomorrow. It is a lot of stuff. No, right? It's-
Well, it's probably a pickup truck load at least.
Yeah, so I can take it and big problem, I wanna sell the house as well and no more problems with the new owners. So I just like keep clear, I don't want more problems.
So you are offering to take it away?
I will take, don't worry about it.
Really?
And if you guys not trust, but I will take. Don't worry.
She's like,
No, because like we do construction, so it is easy for me to remove, It is hard for them.
There's no way, I don't think we can. Can't ratify this.
No, but
I don't think
Yeah,
that can. No. Also, that doesn't, the stuff that's there doesn't look like it can. Underneath the driveway.
Well,
That doesn't look like that kind of.
but it is definitely new.
Yeah, but
It's a
it definitely
new,
didn't come from that.
um, the city would actually be the one responsible now, it's their property.
Yeah.
Well, for tonight, I guess the enforcement order's gone out, so we would either ratify or rescind.
I'll make a motion to rescind.
Seconded by Steve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the enforcement order is kind of off the table. Don't want anyone to get hurt out there.
Can we, as a part of closing out that enforcement order, put an official request into the streets department for removal of that soil? A favor to the conservation commission?
Yeah, I don't know if we should put it on the enforcement. I just took it out.
Right,
Property,
that'd be
so-
great. Restoration.
And actually, there's a big cement barrier that's been displaced. If that were put back in place, some of this wouldn't be happening. And as you said, there's also lawn clippings being dumped down there.
É como que fala barreira? Não, mas como fala barreira? A
So
barrier. This looks like a bear, right?
it's a big
square. I
block
saw
of
that.
cement.
I saw it.
Yeah, and some of them are pushed to the side instead of. they should-
Yeah, but that one, I don't know. That one I
no,
can
but that
take.
is from.
No.
the
No,
city.
no, we're not asking you to
No,
move. the
no, we just
cement.
want it back in place.
Yeah,
No,
that
no,
one,
not you, no.
that was so
No,
heavy.
that would be, that would be the city.
Maybe we can get a trail camera.
Okay, so the enforcement order has been rescinded, and now we need to deal with the request for determination for Mr. Neto. Do we have a motion? This is retroactive, so
I'll make a motion to grant
-3, seconded by. Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, so we have granted you a -3 means that you're in the zone where it's a problem. Any work that you do, you need to come before us. Make sure that it's not going to impact the brook or the wetland along the edge. But what you have done, we have given approval to.
Thanks a lot.
So I think you're done with us for now, and
Sounds good.
thank you for your
You guys want to
explanation
send
of the
an email
neighborhood.
or we have to pay something? Or no?
You'll get documentation from.
Oh, yeah, by email,
By mail.
sounds good, appreciate.
Yeah.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have an enforcement order given to Leonard D'Souza, 256 Trotting Park Road. This was kind of a multiple tragedy out here. The shed burned and gasoline was stored in the shed, so the gasoline is well burned, I take it from what I was told. And but before that happened, some of it may have washed into the wetland area, which was less than 100 feet away. So just, yeah, want to tell us what the status is out there?
So, I haven't looked at it in years. So those hormones not being used. No gas.
It wasn't containers, it was lawnmowers.
Might have been, there were containers there and there were one.
So were you there when the fire was happening?
No.
So did the gasoline containers and the lawnmowers kind of explode? Or you don't know?
I don't know if anybody else wants to speak up.
I can tell you the 3-year-old gas doesn't light on fire.
Doesn't,
Nope. Absolutely not. Most of it at that point will be, I don't know the chemical process, but it changes drastically over even 6 months. Storage.
separates.
It become the ethanol evaporates or something. And it's not even car, it's not burn, not combust.
Hmm.
So
So
somebody put on the match.
that sounds about right.
Okay, so are you the owner of the property?
I'm not, you know.
Oh, so are you a neighbor or
I used to.
you used to own it?
Here to help my son fix the boat. When he's done. fix it. Myself, if we get a permit, we get. Yeah. And how long
Yeah.
comes to there.
Some of those questions are not for us. We're concerned about the effect that your incident might have had on the wetlands.
There's no.
So. The property was left. Daughter is now legal adult. So technically she is the property owner. I went out there with Lenny ago. There's nothing left in the shed. That's like, that's I meant by that. I didn't need to make it work. I meant that there's nothing left. We had gotten, some calls from neighbors who were concerned because some of the houses still have water out there. And, they were concerned that, they walked to this fire and they were concerned. Can't really light on fire. They were worried that stuff in the shed was being washed away by the fire. But by that email, I just think there's nothing.
I saw a picture.
Yes, that's true.
We don't know if there was a.
We don't know for sure. I believe one of the neighbors is here tonight. He might be able to- they're not in here.
I'm online, if that helps.
Oh, okay. Would you like to say Where did
I,
we-
I couldn't hear what Mr. D'Souza said, but I was more concerned that all that water, our well is 300 feet from where the shed was. It's only 50 feet deep. I was more concerned that the oil and gasoline that was in that shed has now contaminated the wetlands water, which is going to contaminate my water at my house.
So I think that we've heard tonight that there was some gasoline and lawnmowers in the shed at the point of burning. Knowing that gasoline doesn't burn, it is likely still present in that area. City staff has recommended that the well water be tested. I would support following that request. We may also request something similar of the wetlands itself to figure out what contaminants exist there. There is the remains of the shed. There's the soil below it. There's the washout into both drinking water and wetlands. The extent at which we diagnose and request remediation of these issues is up to us. So I think the well safety is first and foremost. You know, it's public health. Wetlands are second in my mind. And certainly all of this anything left on the surface should be removed before anything else seeps in.
Another concern is that the gasoline, if it were washed, takes some time to go 300 feet. So it might be an ongoing thing that you'd want to test your well more than once. Anything may not have reached the well at this point.
Right.
I'm sure that whoever does a well test could tell us how long that travels. You know, how long it's expected to take to
Especially if it's
to get that
drought.
Yeah. It's certainly not something
Okay, so D'Souza's here to know what steps to take next. I think first we would need to ratify the enforcement order. Wanted to do that.
motion.
Motion made, seconded, all those in favor? Okay, so we've decided that enforcement order is something that is in order as because of the events that happened there. And now we'd like to know what to do about the situation going forward. Did you want to read?
Why is this being directed? So those items in the bond were shared items. And I was living, there's a house, right? On the house in front, and those lawnmowers belong to the house. I moved out
Okay,
of it.
I think we need to determine that. Is there more than one Leonard D'Souza? Okay, so your son is living there? Said,
Yes.
and he has a
And my
different,
ex-wife,
and he has a different name that we should direct it. He owned the shed. Oh, minor. So you're the property owner though. Right.
he had the house.
So
There,
we,
how old are you?
I am.
Audrey, sorry, yeah. 19, so I guess technically.
He certainly was on storing gasoline.
so are we directing the enforcement order at the wrong person?
Audrey's not. Gasoline stored back there. That's just was the first stuff. Wasn't my stuff.
This appears to be an unfortunate
left
circumstance,
there.
but enforcement orders, as far as I know, are always written out to the property owner. I've never heard any property owner is responsible. And this is something we can look into, but I don't have any reason to overturn the standard here, and that would be up to the legal department.
Okay, so we have just ratified an enforcement order for the property, I believe. I don't think we
Yeah, just,
mention,
Yeah,
I don't
so I
Miss-
submitted a revised one. I submitted a revised one probably Monday or Friday.
okay, so we have issued it to the property owner. So I'm sorry, Mr. D'Souza, if you felt being pointed at you.
Yep. It
Um,
was just after the. Stuff.
So we've ratified the enforcement order, which means that we decide that it is a valid order. Now we need to decide what the next steps are as a board. So that will almost certainly be one of the things that we tell you, but give us a moment to deliberate and then we will tell you what's next.
Okay, so I like a little information. Were you planning to rebuild the shed? And you're speaking for the property owner at this point. So I asked that because one of the things I'd like to see is not have hazardous materials or gasoline or anything like that stored at that location. That should be outside of the wetland boundary, the wetland buffer zone. That means 100 feet away from the wetland. Okay, but this is something that, you know, if we didn't mention it, it might happen. You know, if you don't tell someone they can't do something, then they assume they can do it. So. Right, so that was my concern. I'm concerned about the damage that has been done, but on the other hand, I would be concerned if someone went out there and started digging and dredging and things like that to possibly remove, you know, over time, even things like wetlands can clean up, you know, pollutants that you know end up there. I don't know what time frame that involves, but I would think that disturbing the wetland would be just as dangerous as what might be traveling through the soil and might never reach the wetland that dissipates.
So if I was faced with this problem myself, I would be contacting an environmental remediation company. Who would point me in the right direction for testing services as well. This may be something that they do in-house, but environmental remediation is for the removal of the burnt materials and any contaminants that they can find locally. After that, testing figures out if there's anything that needs to be done to fix subsurface or you know, contaminants that have traveled through the wetlands properly. So the most important thing is getting the existing topsoil contaminants out and out of there by a licensed professional as quickly as possible. Every time it rains, more stuff soaks into the ground. At the same time, testing of the well water should take place. The second round is testing of the wetlands and making sure that no contaminants have traveled there. And getting a long-term time frame on how long it takes for anything that's found in this remediation area to have possibly gone down to the well, so that we make sure the testing is continued until the point where we know that nothing is contaminating other people's wells or your own. I don't know. So, unless anybody has any other requests.
Instead of us kind of
This is-
guessing at,
Well,
go ahead.
this, I don't know, it sort of goes beyond my knowledge and experience. Is there a way that we can get this, way it's sort of, this is something that somebody can reach out to us to do.
that seems like a reasonable request.
I for one am not an expert.
Yeah,
I'm
I think-
comfortable
Yeah.
creating
I
some sort of
think-
set of conditions.
I agree. And I don't mean to mandate the entire set of conditions, but I do want to set it forth with the intent here that we expect the remnants to be cleaned up as quickly as possible. And it may be a combination of what DEP says and what this professional can tell us, after they've cleaned it up at the next meeting. About what their recommendations would be as.
Is there a department in the city that has experience with hazardous spills?
So we have an environmental officer, Sarah. This, I know she had worked with Casey. Concerned about water. She's have reach out to Sarah. Steps on this.
Are you suggesting the property owner should reach out to her?
Yes.
I guess what I'm asking is. Advice, the city that could advise the commission.
I would think the fire department would know something about this.
Sarah's the best.
They wouldn't know remediation much, they would, the handling of hazardous waste material when it's right there. It's kind of what the fire department does. They don't really remediate afterwards.
Yeah, well, it's certainly our professionals that's their business is hazardous materials.
Yeah, so it's a
And,
license.
We have a fairly well-known company right here in Lowell that does that type of work.
I'll see if Sarah can.
I would like her
Yeah.
input on guidance of next steps, but there's no way that cleaning it up with a licensed remediation company isn't step one.
Yeah.
And we have a month between our next meeting, so I would like to get that stuff up and out of there as quickly as possible.
Okay, so that would include the remnants of the shed.
Anything that's left on the surface, so that nothing
Okay.
else is coming out of that remnant area, the burn
Okay.
area.
Okay, is that something that's doable as far as you folks are concerned? Of removing the remaining pieces of the shed and any junk, I'll call it junk that might be there that was in the shed, or removing it out of that area?
We can do this on our own, or we.
I believe that this is hazardous materials that needs to be removed by a licensed remediation company.
Have the choice, right?
I don't believe you do.
So,
Wouldn't it make sense for them to be able to speak?
there's a lot of.
Sarah
there's a lot of,
Brown,
like,
for instance,
we do
before
something
they
first, I
remove
guess.
anything in case this.
I mean, they may call a licensed remediation company and they say, that's fine for you to remove by yourself. You don't need us for this X whatever reason. And I'm sure that they could provide a piece of paperwork to us by the next meeting that says that, and then you can have at it.
Can't hurt to talk to it first, rather than say, okay,
Yeah, and the licensed guy won't just, there's a couple good ones in town that you'll
Right.
find very easily if you search something environmental remediation services in Lowell. That they're not going to force you to clean up something. They're not gonna make you pay to clean up something that you don't actually have to pay them to.
right. That's what
Um,
I'm trying to-
And a letter would suffice, but we have a month and I don't wanna wait that month. I agree that talking to Sarah is the right thing, but I'm almost guaranteeing us that this will fall under hazardous remediation.
Okay, so take at least two paths at the same time.
Yeah.
And find out what can be removed immediately without much concern, and what is excuse me, done going forward. Are you folks clear on, we haven't voted on it yet, but I think we're kind of getting this gelled down to a certain course of action. Do you have any questions you wanted to ask? No. Okay, so this is an enforcement order. We have ratified the enforcement order, and I understand it is going to be going to the property owner, not the way it's written here in the agenda. And so these be conditions that we'd like to see remediation. Would somebody like to express those in sort of way as possible?
So I'd make a motion to, is it just it's just conditions on the ratified enforcement, or is that how this works?
Well, this is the remediation of the problem.
Yeah.
But we're enforcing something now. We're going to give some direction as
Yeah.
to.
So the conditions of the ratified enforcement order are to, and with consultation of both Sarah Brown from the city of Lowell in what department? Environmental officer. At the same time, consultation with a professional hazardous remediation, environmental remediation company. And if it is deemed that this is a hazardous remediation, to contract them immediately, and that company is of your choosing as long as they have the license. And then at the next meeting, we discuss the findings, as presented by both
Yeah.
Sarah and whatever remediation company you choose. And we diagnose further steps.
You'll be sending them a paper with that written down. Okay, so you'll get that in writing. That was a motion. Do we have a second? Seconded by Steve. All those in favor? Okay. Did you have any questions, folks? Okay, so our next meeting is August 10th, and at that time, we'd like an update as to the status on this. If you could get something in writing for the people you talk with, that would be good. If the environmental person or persons say that this is not a concern, you can do the remediation yourself. You could have that in writing. At that point, if it's remediated, we would lift the enforcement. Or there might be further steps. As far as the, we think we lost. Oh no, Casey's still here.
Good.
So who's
I
in
made that
charge of the
motion.
testing?
Oh.
We just voted on it. Who's in charge of?
Oh, we just said conditions. All right, I guess. All right, fine.
Who's in charge of the well testing? Somebody in Lowell tests wells, water.
That would be a private contractor. I don't know if.
Nobody in the city.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even talk about that really. I forgot about that. We
Well,
want
I'm
to
not as gonna-
mandate that right away. I mean, that could be a question for Sarah. If
Yeah,
Sarah
I think
says-
we need to find out,
says that she- oh,
you
you
know,
already said it.
how fast these materials would move. I seem to recall something like 100 feet a year is expected liquids to move through soil, but
I think the last comment should be, if anybody says it's time to test the well right away, you gotta test the well right away.
So my question is, Cameras, well, what are you concerned about? Oil or
I have no idea.
or the burn?
I don't know.
I said there was no gas, no more 3 years ago. And I believe you said that.
Well, no, it just doesn't burn anymore, which means it didn't burn, which means it went into the soil. If it burned, it would have gone into the air. If it didn't burn, then it goes into the soil. I don't know. I'm not a chemist. I know that it doesn't light on fire anymore, based on personal anecdotal evidence. I don't know what to tell you, man. If anybody tells you that there's anything for any reason And the city's pretty much already said it, but now you're gonna talk directly with Sarah Brown. And you're gonna talk with a professional remediation company. If anybody brings that they're concerned that these wells need to be tested, then it's a public health hazard that needs to be addressed. You don't wanna have that on your hands to add to this. You know?
Some form. Has to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Before, I mean, I think we need the facts. Sure.
yeah, I mean, that kind of direction is what I would expect to discuss at the next meeting, but honestly, you know, take the guidance of these guys, and if you want to do additional testing ahead of us, that's great. I think you should follow their advice, and it will be the advice that we use to make our decision. If they tell you you got to test, then you got to test. I assume that to be, but I don't know, so I don't know what to tell you until I hear from the professionals. That's all we're gonna do is tell you that we mandate that you follow the professional's opinion. No, that's all that's all that's gonna happen.
Okay, if no more comments or questions, I guess we'll be looking forward to seeing you at our August 10th meeting. We don't meet again until then. So if you do get some answers sooner than that, certainly I'd like to hear about it if you want to send whatever you find out into the office, and they'll send it out to us. But since we don't have another meeting until that time, it's going to be up in the air until then. Questions? Casey, are you all set?
Yeah, no, I appreciate your help. I'm just concerned for my family with the water, and I think you guys are on the path to help me out there, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay. Do you have your well tested regularly anyway?
I got it tested the Monday after the shed fire, just to have a baseline to make sure that it was good then.
Good thought.
And so I got those results. Everything was within good limits, so.
Okay. It does take some time for materials to travel that way.
Right.
Okay, so I guess we're all set if you're all set, and I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
We're a little confused over the ownership. I'm sorry if we were directing things at you particularly. We're all set. Thank you. Unless you want to stay in here, here's talk about the minutes. That's our next thing is other business. Did you folks have a question you'd like to ask?
No, not really.
No, okay. You can stay. No. You're finding this fascinating? We have a couple openings. Thank you. Yep. Okay, our last order of business is the minutes from our last meeting of June 22nd, 2022. We have a motion on the minutes.
I was absent. That meeting,
How was your vacation?
it was nice.
Okay.
Northwest.
right? They have a heat wave, though,
Mhm.
right?
My ideal time.
There you go.
Really?
Perfect.
Oh, wow.
Seattle is wonderful.
Oh,
Look at all
Nice.
that.
I am the rare person who gets sunburned in the Pacific Northwest. You know, we took some Fahrenheit up to the islands.
That sounds beautiful.
oh, wow.
Yeah, it was great. Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay. Somebody that was in attendance, want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion to approve, seconded by Brad. All those in favor? I guess we approved it because Steve voted with us.
With the minor correction.
Get the correction.
You watched that meeting on TV, right?
From the phone, just on his phone. just-
Oh, you
3 hour
watch,
time
you
difference.
watch it after you get home. It's the first thing you do.
I was.
Okay, do you have a motion to adjourn?
Yep.
Fred and Harry and everybody, all those in favor, and thank you and good night.